Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dentistry Unmasked. I am David Rice, and here, as always, with
Hi, everybody. Pam Maragliano-Muniz, and we have such a great week ahead of us. We have Dr. John Flucke with us. John, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I appreciate you guys wanting to chat. So it's always good. You guys are two of my great friends. And Pam, I love the way when you introduce yourself, your name just rolls off so smoothly.
Well, you would think I'd have it down after all of these years of having this last name, but trust me, there is plenty of video footage of me screwing up my own name. So trust me, it doesn't happen every single time, which is extraordinarily sad.
that
For
would be
me,
a
I'm
great
just
show for
like,
real.
I'm Dr. John Fluke. There's just nothing cool or rolling about the Americanized German form of my name. So anyway.
Oh, mine's bastardized too. Trust me, it would be way cuter if I went like the whole European route, but I don't
You
know. I
should
feel
you
like
should start bringing that. Bring the European flair.
I should, but then I'd lose my New Jersey card. They'd be like, "What is wrong with you? Get the F out of here." Oh my goodness. So, talk about something that was sad and shocking and crazy and weird. And that's kind of one of the things we wanted to chat with you about. Not the only thing, but it was like a light switch, like that quick, it seemed for us outsiders. What the
Yeah.
heck happened to DPR?
So it was a light switch for everybody on the other end too. Um, we had made a decision to earlier in the year, we had decided to go down to from a monthly version to 10 print versions. And I think anybody that is reading, magazines still to this day has noticed that they're getting thinner. Um, one of my favorite tech magazines is Wired, and it's published by Condé Nast, who is this huge conglomerate. And I've been a Wired subscriber since the 90s, and it used to be that when I would get my issues sent to me, it was like a book, and it's just gotten thinner and thinner. And so we had talked about, let's go down to 10 issues a year rather than 12, which was fine. And then in December, one day, I got a text message from Stan, who was my editorial director, and he said, "Can you talk? I've got bad news." And I thought it was something personal because Stan and I have been friends forever. I've been at DPR. Isn't that weird? I said I had been at DPR for 25 years. And Stan was the next longest tenured person. I think he had 24. So anyway, I thought, it was something personal, or maybe somebody we knew had decided to leave or whatever. And so I called him, and he said, "Yeah, they just shut the magazine down." And I was like, "They what?" And and he said, "Yeah, we had our monthly, or I'm sorry, weekly, like, team get together, and when I logged in to the chat, it was loaded with HR people." And he said, you always know when all the HR people show up, something isn't good, and that they told them that the corporation that owned the magazine had decided to go in a different direction, and that they were ceasing operations effective immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I mean, it was weird. I had projects that I was working on with specific due dates for clients of the magazine. And I finally got a chance to talk to the corporate folks. I learned on Tuesday, and I got a chance to talk to the corporate folks on a Zoom on Friday. And basically, what I was told was, we're going in a different direction. We're going to take the resources that are being put into dental, and we're going to, they have, it's a huge corporation that was the parent company, and they have a huge presence in lots of other healthcare spaces. And they basically said, "We're going to take the funds and we're going to put those into those other healthcare spaces. And that was, I think it was 10 o'clock my time on Friday. It might have been earlier, but anyway, and it was like, yeah, everything stops at noon today. So
So
I got done with the call, and like 2 hours later, it was over.
I
I
am
have a
so
question for you,
sorry to hear
Pam.
that. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hit me.
Yeah,
That
go
that
ahead, David.
that's crazy. So gut reaction, Pam, what's the first thing that pops into your brain when you hear that story?
So three things. One is nothing's ever guaranteed. And I feel like this could literally happen to anybody, any role that they have, any publication. Hello, people, subscribe to DE, please. That'd be really fantastic. And, you know, and then I also think, wow, I mean, you talk about things that have been reliable and things that people have, come to maybe take for granted. A publication like DPR and just sort of expected it to show up every month, and all of a sudden it goes away, and you maybe don't feel like you realized, what you're missing when it's not here. And so I think that that's, it's sad, but I also feel like, so one of my spirit animals, this is going to sound crazy. I feel like I have a few, but one of my spirit animals is the cockroach. And I feel like, how cockroaches, like they'll always just like find work and they'll find something to do. I think a lot of my dental friends are fellow cockroaches, where this is a setback, you got stepped on, but your exoskeleton's strong enough that you're going to keep on keeping on. And so I feel like that's what I'm feeling, like a little nervous to hear this. I feel like it could happen to me, but there is life after this, but we just need to figure out what that would be. David, what's your sense?
So very, very similar. First is, I think, and Pam, you and I've had this conversation offline, like generationally, we were all taught to look at the world by our parents and the people around us a certain way. And I think, my parents taught me like, hey, wake up, work hard, go to school, and life will just work out. And then, one day they woke up in their 50s and, they weren't in dental necessarily, but they went through exactly what's happening right now in dentistry. It's just gone. So, the next generation started teaching their kids differently. They look at the world differently, and so on and so on and so forth. So I think it's easy for us maybe to look at some young people, and I've been guilty of it, to say like, oh my God, like you're like, why do you think everybody should just do all these things for you now? Well, because, they learned that the world isn't always kind and things could change on a dime. So maybe there are lessons to be learned from people who are much younger than I, as well as lessons to be learned from people who are older than I, to look at the world and try to gain my best perspective, because probably how I'm looking at the world isn't always correct. And then to your point, yeah, be prepared for what can come your way, because inevitably something's coming your way. And if you're ready for it, you can always shift gears and find bigger, better opportunities that are, will make you happier in life.
So,
Yeah,
John, what
one
does
of
that leave? Like, where does that leave you? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that's got to resonate because I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
well, one of my spirit animals, probably my biggest spirit animal, is the shark. And the reason for that is, I think this is right. People can look it up. I've never really done the research, but supposedly sharks don't have the ability to sit still and pull water over their gills, that they have to always keep swimming to keep fresh water, or to keep the water going over their gills so they can breathe. So even when they sleep, they continue moving forward.
Hmm.
And that that's kind of me. I don't like to sit still. So the good news is that things shut down at 12 p.m. December 20th. And by about 2 p.m. December 20th, I had already gotten several emails from people that are like, sorry to hear it. Um, you know, love to work with you, kind of a thing. Um, One of them was from Pam. And so I mean, I was lucky, and I never, I love educating my peers, and I love doing what I do. but I never counted on that as, you know, my retirement or, you know, anything like that. And so I was just like, okay, I find a new home. But the other people on the side that got let go, um, you know, thanks for the memories, boom. And those people were, they had to find jobs, they had to interview and that kind of thing. And I will say one other thing, David, I think you're right that the generation that we come from, it was like you get it, you know, you work hard, um, you go to college, you get a degree, you find a good job, and you work there for 25 years, and you get the gold watch and the big plaque, you know, job well done, and we're financially taking care of you now for the rest of your life because you worked so hard. And and that's gone. And I would say to maybe some younger dentists that are thinking, I think a corporate dental path would be the dream path for me. Just remember that one day, if the balance sheet's a little too heavy on the bad side, things can change. Like, and if you aren't prepared for it, if you aren't willing to accept those risks, if you're not being careful with your finances, thinking, I can buy this, whatever it is, because I'll just make more money next week. Just remember that these kind of things can happen to you. Um, but I'm fine. I am, I'm writing. I've got stuff going right now. Um, so I'm not going to be quiet. I'll be around.
I think that brings up another really important point that this wasn't your primary occupation. Um, I always find it laughable when people ask me, "Oh, do you practice?" And I'm like, "Do I practice? I'm in my practice most of the time." And David,
Yeah.
I know that's the same for you. And I think that it's important to recognize that we do this because we love it, you know, and we do this because, you know, there's some education built within our DEA, our DNA, and we really we want to share, we want to educate people. And I think that there's this push nowadays towards there's almost sometimes more value on influencers and people who have a large following. And in some instances, they pay for them. So, you know, I don't know if that's the best place to be getting your education and your clinical tips and your topics and things like that when there's people who've clearly been at this for decades and get to see lots of things and share the best of the best because they love it.
Yeah, Pam, I think it was Sunny Verdi we had on as a guest a while back, but correct me if I'm wrong. But what I remember, it was the topic was this influencer topic. Whoever that person was said, some of the most influential people in my life and education and career, you'll never see them, you know, on Instagram or TikTok. They're doing other people I met as a dental student, or I met at a course or a series of courses. And I think what, you know, that sort of piggybacks on what you just shared is, you know, where are you getting your education from? You know, is it from somebody who did it for the first time yesterday and or they've got like one magic case that was photoshopped, let's be real. Or is it from people who've been doing this for 10, 15, 20, 30 years and maybe just maybe like experience is as much of a teacher is the education behind it?
You know, it's kind of funny. I've had, and I'm sure you guys have had it happen to you as well, where you're at a meeting or something where there's a huge conglomeration of dentists and people will come up to you and say, I want to do what you do. Tell me how you did it. What, you know, like I want the recipe. I'm big on air quotes. I'm glad we're video here. But you know, like I want the recipe to do that. And I always tell people that I truly don't have a recipe. I I feel like the old like 1920s, 1930s story of somebody sitting at the malt shop counter and they turned and somebody looked at them and said, have you ever thought about being in pictures? Um, because I started out, I had a friend of mine who made a newsletter, a paper newsletter that he would print and staple and fold by hand and mail to dentists. And he in it was in like the early mid 90s, And he wanted to talk about bringing computers into dentistry. And he emailed me and he said, hey, I know you tinker with this stuff. Could you write a little article? And so I did. And somebody read it and they told somebody else who read it, who told somebody else. And it was just kind of a groundswell. I didn't come up with this big idea of, oh, if I do this, this happens. I was just like, well, I know something about this and I'd love to help other people be able to do this. And that just started the snowball that rolls downhill. But I didn't wake up one day and say, I want to be an influencer. I kind of laugh sometimes because you'll watch a video and somebody be like, hi, I'm Joe Smith and I'm an influencer. And I'm like, if you really have to tell me that you're influencing me, are you? Number one, are you influencing to me? But if you have to tell me you're an influencer, can't I figure that out on my own? So anyway.
It's like the joke where somebody says, did you get it? Or that was funny, wasn't it? That's probably not a good joke if you have to ask
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Exactly.
Me in Pennsylvania.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So I told David, I guess a while back, but it's true. I'm just not funny in Pennsylvania. Like anytime I lecture there, I'm like, is this thing on? You guys can laugh now. And I don't know why. I could tell the same joke the day before, whatever. And then for whatever, I mean, I love
Yep.
Pennsylvania, love visiting, whatever. But for some reason, I don't know. I feel like I'm just not funny there. So I don't know.
I
So I
I
get that.
saw an old Woody Allen clip one time where he told a joke and nobody responded. And he's like, I know you're out there. I can see you breathing. And it's so true because, yeah, sometimes you'll just have people just loving it, and other people you're like, this is as good as it gets.
Uh,
Yeah.
Pam, I'm
I love
coming
it.
to one of your Pennsylvania courses, and I'm going to laugh so obnoxiously hard in the back row that people will have to follow suit or just turn around and throw things at me.
Please, by all means, next time I have a lecture in Pennsylvania, you'll be the first one to know. I won't even agree to go unless you can be there with me.
I'll have a side contract, audience member, number 4.
Yeah, I'm like, I need a professional laugher. Trust me, I need it. I have to hire one. I have to pay some. Oh my gosh, it's like paying for followers. I'm going to pay somebody to come and laugh at my lectures. That's what I need. Oh, I
I'm
love
a
that.
bot.
That's what I need.
A
Thank
laugh
you.
bot.
I need a laugh bot. Oh my
I
goodness.
actually saw a documentary one time on professional laughers that would actually be paid to go to comics, sit in the audience and laugh. True
Do
thing.
they have to have a good laugh? Like
Yes,
it's
yes.
like
They
a
have to have a
special kind
really
of laugh?
unique, kind of contagious laugh. But yeah. So it is like paying for influencers or paying for followers.
See, there is a strategy to be successful in this whole dental thing. We just
That's
have to
right.
change gears.
We need
It's
laugh bots. Oh my gosh. So, John, tell us, what are you excited about now? Is there some technology that you're like, all right, this is really cool. I'm going to spend some time with this that people need to know about? Or is there something kind of down the road? Or what's happening out there that you're like, I need to spread the word on this one?
3D printing is going to be absolutely flipping huge. Um, I've been messing around with it now, like serious deep dive for almost a year. And the merging of artificial intelligence with this is going to change things so much. People, 3D printing has been around, gosh, I don't even know what year it was. It might have been maybe 17 or 16. The last time that the ADA meeting was in Washington, D.C., I remember seeing 3D printers. And so it's been around a long time. But the big thing was you had to have a college degree to actually design anything, because you can scan with an intraoral scanner. And I mean, we can all do that. And printing isn't really that hard. I mean, it's pressing a button, but it's the like, how do I make an occlusal guard? How do I make a surgical guide? That was always the really hard part. And it took a lot of skill. And now with AI, there are systems out there that you can just basically like click, 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 and everything you can edit if you want to and change it so you get exactly what you want. But it has gotten so much easier that even I can do it. And I really think from what I'm seeing of what doctors are able to do with this, and seeing the companies in the background working to improve this, and how many people are hopping on this thing is a building wave that all of a sudden the people on the beach are going to look up and it's going to be like coming at them. So I'm really big on that. And I'm big on AI, the AI in the profession, not only with looking at radiographs, but being able to like manage your practice, um, find patients that need treatment. And then the other thing, coming kind of full circle back to the printing thing, the ability now of AI in like cone beam systems, and the ability to merge data and quite easily take an intraoral scan and then tell a piece of software, put that into the cone beam, and suddenly the patient's scanned arches show up in occlusion that you can move and orient. It's going to make a massive change in the profession.
I, I love it. And AI was your common thread, on the
Yeah.
business side, on the clinical side, on the tech side. I think, I don't know, as dentists, we're maybe largely a skeptical group of people, and we
Yep.
often wait too long to, I'm going to do it. Trust like something that's coming to us in practice. Like, what advice would you give to a dentist who's like, okay, this AI thing's great, but is it really a thing? At what point do I trust it? Like, how can we best educate ourselves to, maybe get a snippet of knowledge that you have along the way and jump in?
Well, I would say that the one thing is I think you should be skeptical. I'm kind of a skeptic by nature. And if I had, a $5 bill for every time somebody had come to me with something that's going to change the world and it didn't, I, I could have retired a long time ago. So I think it pays to be skeptical. But the other side of it is to be open-minded. I think people sometimes, especially doctors, I've had several people tell me, I don't want a computer telling me what to do. And I get that. I don't want that either. But the way I look at these tools is they are tools. Let's look at AI and radiographic, diagnosis. They don't tell me what to do. I look upon that as it's no different to me than an explorer or a perio probe. What it does is it gives me data. And the radiographic piece of it is kind of like, did you look really closely here? Because there might be something. And it's found stuff that, when I look, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, second look. Yeah, I do see that. And if you've been practicing for any amount of time at all, you know that somebody will come in for root care. You'll look at a bite wing and go, whoa, that's a big spot. Did I miss that last time? And you look back, and with, hindsight, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, there was seeing what I see today. Yeah, I would have done something about that sooner. Um, and then just do a little research on your own. I mean, we have the sum of all human knowledge in the palm of our hands right now. And being able to look at what's going on and being able to see, some scientific stuff that's been done, or read about how these things work, it's really not difficult. Um, so I do think the homework is important. Um, the other thing is that you need to be knowledgeable about it, because everything, unfortunately, has an up and a down to it. And people that don't want dentists to treat for financial reasons are going to use this to try and convince either the doctor or the patient that either you're being too aggressive, or um, convincing the patient, oh, they did a crown when they could have done a filling of a thing. That is going to happen. And so you need to be knowledgeable about it, if nothing else, just to be able to protect yourself and justify yourself. Just because you don't have a tool, you don't use a particular tool, doesn't mean other people aren't.
Great point.
Such great advice. And I think there's a lot of really great education out there. And I think, you could do a little bit and let it evolve into a lot, or, you jump right in and you've got these workflows and you kind of have to learn all of them together. So I think it's really important for us to look at our practices, see where we want our practice to go, and buy and invest in technology that's going to help support that. So John, this has been awesome. Where can people find you and follow you and carry on, learning from you?
Well, as we mentioned at the very beginning of this thing, Fluke is a pretty uncommon name. So if you just type in John Flucke, Dr. John Flucke, into Google, you'll find my blog, which I update frequently 4 times a week. You look for J Flucke on Instagram, YouTube, just the letter J in my last name, X, Blue Sky, you'll find me. I'm out there. I'm not going anywhere, and nowadays especially, you're pretty hard to find. I will not allow you to geolocate me, but you can get my info. And if you like what I write, I do have a couple of things that are going to be showing up through Connexient very soon. So you can find those online at the Connexient website. But I'll probably be doing something for DE before too awful long too. So it's kind of nice to be a free agent.
I love that. So as we wrap up, I have really just one more question as we go full circle. We've got a cockroach and a shark with us. David, who's your spirit animal?
Do you know the whole time you guys were talking, I'm like, I have no spirit animal.
What? You can't be a spiritless, animalist individual?
I'm a spiritless, heartless, empty vessel.
Is your spirit animal roadkill?
I will make a pledge. I will discover my spirit animal before our next episode.
Okay,
Classic.
I'm going to hold you to that. All right, everybody.
Classic.
Join us next week so you can find out what spirit animal David is. Thanks you so much, John, for joining us this week, and everyone for Dentistry Unmasked. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to the show this week, and thanks to our guests and sponsors on this episode.
Please check out our social media at Dr. Pamela_Maragliano and at Dental Economics Official.
Or you can check me out at Ignite DDS or at Dr. David Rice.
And go to dentaleconomics.com to receive dental economics. You can choose to receive DE in print or digitally, and you can also get the details of our Principles of Practice Management Conference on our website.
If you have topics or guests or anything you'd like to talk about on the show, send us an email to dentistryunmaskedpodcast@gmail.com, and we will do our very best to make it happen. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.